إني ألقى الإيناس في صومي وصلاتي ودعائي للرحمن وجميع الطاعات.
Do you know what? No, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about. 'Cause I'm Muslim. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about how Muslims perceive homosexuals, how they interact with them and whatnot. Yeah. Or bisexuals, like you probably might maybe associate with that. But I'm just saying, the reason why I feel it's important for us to have discussions, okay, is to basically clear to give people understanding that of what we actually believe, and also so that we can maybe like actually flesh out some key issues. You see what I mean? Because I think the most important thing from both of our perspectives, genuinely, is to understand each other. We might not agree with everything we do, yeah? It's not going to be uniformity. We don't live in a world where we're all going to be the same, but it's about understanding. You understand where I'm coming from, and you understand where you're coming from, right?
So where are you coming from?
Okay, let me tell you where I'm coming from. First of all, I want to ask you a straightforward question, yeah? So, first of all, let me tell you something before I ask you something. We, as Muslims, there's a principle, there's a maxim in the Quran, which is... Sorry? We'll do another one. There's a maxim in the Quran, yeah, which says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So, a soul is not given more than what it can handle, yeah? So if someone has a feeling of homosexuality, so I'm saying like if a Muslim, he feels like, attracted or sexually attracted to the same gender, as Muslims, we say at that point it's not sinful. Because based on that maxim, do you see how that works?
Sorry, what was the maxim in English?
So the thought of being gay is not sin.
So basically, if you're if any human being like yourself or whatever, if you feel
I get that.
physically attracted,
what's the maxim again?
It's basically a soul is not, or a human being, a self is not given more than it can handle in terms of ability. So if you can't control yourself and it's just something that's within you, and you're feeling like, I'm attracted to the same gender, sometimes you can't necessarily control that. You see what I mean? So if that's the case, you're not sinful for feeling like that. Because Islam doesn't hold you to account for how you feel. Do you see what I mean? But let me be clear as well, because I don't want to sugarcoat everything and lie. I want to also be honest with you, Islam, when it comes to homosexuality, it forbids homosexuality in a sexual sense. So what I mean to say when I say that is that, say for example, a man wants to want to have sex with another man. Okay. So we would say that's morally not a right thing to do. It's not a good thing to do. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, if he feels good when he sees a man, all right?
So it's morally, it's a wrong thing for a human being to do. It's
to have sex with another man. Do you see what I mean?
According to the Quran.
According to Islam and Quran,
But where does it say that?
All right. So do you know it's interesting because in the biblical corpus, you have Lot. In Islam, you have Lut, who is the same person, The stories are different. It's not the same story completely, but there are some similarities. When Lot came to his people, they were homosexuals. Okay, so his people were homosexuals. He was guiding them to truth on two different fronts. He said to them, the first thing he would say to them is stop being homosexual, in terms of having sexual intercourse with other men. I looked at the Quran myself. I did a bit of a study, and I looked at I think 9 mentions of when Lot approached his people, and he's the only prophet that I can identify that he spoke to his people, and he didn't start off by talking about Tawheed, which is the idea that God is one. He actually always started by speaking to them about sexual, stop having sex with men. Men don't have sex with men. That's what basically it's saying. Now, the reason why I would say, I think this is the argument now. Like in the West, they say, look, man, that's okay. You can have that belief. That's fine. But, and you probably agree with this, say we believe in the West here that so long as you're not harming anyone else, you can do whatever you want. Would you agree with that maxim?
Yes, I guess so. Well, no. As long as you're not harming. So long as you're not harming anyone else, you can do whatever you want.
Well, you have to. Don't shoot Mel, that.
Huh?
Don't shoot Mel.
Yeah, John Stuart Mill is an English philosopher, and he talks about the harm
On
principle.
liberty, the harm principle.
Yeah.
You guys done politics or something? What did you do?
PPE students,
What did you
both
do?
of us. Politics, philosophy and economics.
Where and what uni?
Goldsmiths. We're going into
Is it?
second year. Yeah.
Are you in second year?
Yeah.
Trust me, guys, man. I've done it all before as well, man. I've done it all before, man. That's
Yeah.
why I think you guys know what I'm talking about. John Stuart Mill, the harm principle.
Yeah.
And he obviously furthered from what if you remember, his father was close friends with whom? Bentham, yeah? And he grew up at Jeremy Bentham was utilitarianism. So he realized that utilitarianism had like the issue of the harm, like it cause harm. So he put a cap on that, or he kind of refined the theory of utilitarianism with what he called the harm principle. If you remember, like from your studies, yeah? Do you know what? Let me ask you a question then, yeah?
Test on knowledge. All right, go on.
We'll test your knowledge. No, I'm not testing your knowledge.
She wrote the essay on Joe.
I'm also the bisexual here as well.
Are you bisexual as well? All right, fine. There's two, yeah? So, okay, let me ask you a question straightforward, yeah? Do you accept, do you think, if I said to you, look, all things aside, a mother and a son, they can wear protection, all right? They wear protection and stuff.
Mother and a son.
Get involved into a sexual relationship. Do you consider that morally acceptable?
No, I wouldn't, because their mother is an older. I think age comes into it. I think the mother is a guardian of the son and is responsible. Go on.
It's the power play between them, so it's like I wouldn't think it's okay for a teacher to have.
But if they're both consensual.
Even if they're both consenting, I wouldn't think it's okay for a teacher to have sex with a pupil because of the power dynamic that exists between them. Same with a mother and a son. There's a power dynamic there.
I think if the son had reached the age of 18, which in England we agree there is an age for sexual consent, and like you're an adult now and you can
Raise your voice just a little bit. Raise your voice just a little bit.
Sorry. If 18 is the age of sexual consent, you can make a decision as an independent adult. You have to have sex with whoever you want. Therefore, if a mother and an 18-year-old decided to have sex, then I would consider it very strange.
So you wouldn't accept it? You say it's immoral, yeah? Or a father and a granddad and his granddaughter, but they both, like, the granddaughter's over the age.
But my issue isn't that they're related, it's the power dynamic that exists between them.
Okay, I'm with you, I'm listening to your point. I think you've made a good point, actually. Like, it's an interesting point.
Because whatever age someone is, there's still going to be power relations between the two individuals.
I'm accepting what you're saying now. But what I'm saying is that if we're accepting that the maxim that we're being morally consistent with is the harm principle, the maxim basically that you can do whatever you want so long as you don't harm anyone else.
Yeah.
Then I feel it would be a contradiction of that harm principle if we said, okay, you have one rule for homosexuals and a different rule for those people who practice incest. Because actually,
are you saying that incest is the same as homosexuality?
what I'm saying is, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course you can.
What would be in your minds the difference between incest and homosexuality?
Because incest exists in this power dynamic that I explained, that like mothers have power over their sons and like
and responsibility to bring them up.
So can I tell you something, Cam? The things that you've mentioned,
and also there's
I'm with you. There's no power
there's
dynamic.
an inherent love and there's an inherent connection.
Right. So it's
due to that relationship. Yeah.
Do you think there's a naturalistic element which makes it like naturalistically unacceptable?
There's a bond in which demands a certain responsibility from the older guardian.
Okay, can I tell you something? I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
This power dynamic issue is an issue which is, first of all, sometimes if you've done philosophy and PPE and stuff, yeah. So I can tell you that you've got. I remember doing this when I was in uni as well. Yeah, I finished. Yeah. Do you guys remember like doing power? Like, did you cover like theories of power? Robert Dahl, his conception of power, Backrats and Barretts. Do you know? Have you not done that? All right. So basically, there are different conceptions of power. Yeah. From a philosophical perspective, it's difficult to actually track what power is. Robert Dahl, he said that power is the ability for person A to change person B's ability to do what he otherwise doesn't want to do, something like that. Then there's the second layer of power, which is Backrats and Barretts. They advance on this theory, etc. So first of all, when we talk about power dynamics, and obviously from a philosophical perspective, you've got Michael Foucault, who talks about power in a in a very complicated way.
But it's very possible to have someone that is under the age of consent, like in theory consenting to having sex with someone much older than them. So they're both technically saying, yes, I want to do this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But it's not
what I was saying
okay.
to you is that power, it's in and of itself as a concept, as a construct, is a very difficult thing to define. And that's why you've got so many different people defining it in different ways. Michael Foucault, and Barrett, Robert Duff. Now, what I'll say to you that, so using this construct, which is power, to deem something as immoral is basically arguing in a circle, because first you'd have to prove that it exists in a certain way, and then you'd have to identify how this power exists in a certain relationship. Do you see what I mean? So, but I would say this. I would say that, I'll be completely honest with you. From an atheist, you guys, would you consider yourself like non-religious, yeah? So like, you don't believe in a higher source, yeah?
I do believe in something that underlies everything.
So would you, okay, fine, I'm with you, but you don't believe in God?
I haven't sort of... I haven't established what this underlying something is, but he may be God, but he's a multiplicity of some kind.
Okay, I'm with you, but can I tell you something, yeah? If you don't believe in God, my question to you would be, straightforward question, where do you derive your morals? In terms of objective morality, do you think you can get objective morality without an all-knowing, all-wise entity that can dictate them for you?
I think objective knowledge can still be sort of apparent to me through this sort of rationale and reasoning between individuals, which is like this underlying something. It is an underlying unknown big other that we are none the wiser to.
So you're not completely dismissing the fact that there could be an entity out there that's like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm with that. But what I was going to say to you here is, this is my...
Just like science bases itself on objective knowledge.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, the scientific method doesn't do that, because the scientific method itself, it gives you certain knowledge that you can rely on a certain time period, but then that can be falsified later on.
Of course, but
it's not certain truth though.
Yeah, it's not certain truth, but I feel like, in different situations you reason different outcomes to the certain outcomes that you want, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're under threat, you wouldn't behave in the same way as if you were unthreatened.
I'm with you, but what my point to you is, like, have you guys read Nietzsche yet?
Nietzsche.
Yeah. What book have you guys read?
Beyond Good and Evil.
Beyond Good and Evil. Do you know how hard that is to read? Have you seen that read book?
No, don't.
I mean, it's difficult book to read.
Test me on it.
I'm not gonna test you. But it's a difficult book to read. You agree, yeah? It's like the gay science. He wrote another book called The Gay Science. All right. Nietzsche. People like Nietzsche. People like Bertrand Russell, philosopher, atheist. People like Derrida. Jacques Derrida, you know him. These are postmodernists, yeah?
Yeah.
So basically, they don't believe that objective morality exists.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
You would agree with that,
yeah? I would.
So if I said to you, objectively, can you prove that homosexuality is a sin? You say, no, you can't. Yeah, you can't prove it's objectively a sin from your perspective.
Yeah.
But can you prove it's a good thing to do? No. And the same thing with it.
But I believe that I can prove it's a good thing to do, in the sense that I feel loved, I feel empowered, I feel like it gives me a sense of belonging, and I think that through expressing my homosexuality, I've been able to be a more authentic version of myself and give more to society. So I think I can prove, in a sense, that it's objective.
Do you not think that, because objective morality has a very certain philosophical connotation?
Yeah, I guess the struggle is that I don't really believe in that many things that are objective, and no matter what situation you're in, it is objective. But at the same time, I could give you anecdotal and just real life experiences that have proven to myself and many other people.
So that's all subjective then, yeah?
Yeah, it's subjective.
So okay, that's fine. I'm not saying that you're subjective.
It's only subjective because I don't believe in objective morality, and I don't believe there's a right way to live your life.
I'm not saying to you that's wrong. I'm not saying to you that you're not entitled to that. Okay, you're right. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But I'm just saying that. So it's very difficult for us here, from a non-objective perspective, to actually condemn anything morally. So even if I say, because you said that it causes me love and this and that, like I feel, you said my homosexuality makes me feel X, Y, Z, yeah? I'm saying to you that Hitler might have felt good when he was sorry, but when he was doing what he was doing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that because of that feeling that necessarily means that what he's doing is moral.
But Hitler might have felt good, but at the same time killed millions of people. I feel good, and I'm not stopping anyone else from.
So going back to the Hum principle.
Yeah.
Can we prove that liberalism is true, objectively? You know liberalism, the one that we described by John Stuart Mill on Liberty. You know the book.
Yeah.
Can we prove that that ideology is a true ideology? Objectively.
No.
You guys, this is a good discussion, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right.
We
Okay. Let me say.
prove that. No.
Okay. Listen, guys. I want to say something. Yeah. So I say to you the following thing. Yeah. 2 points I made to you that I want to reiterate. When it comes to the issue of homosexuality, I said to you, look, why do you accept that so long as you can do whatever you want, so long as you don't harm anyone else? Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to measure that.
Yeah. But you said you accept that as a maxim.
I accept it in theory, but at the same time,
But you don't say it's an objective maxim.
No,
it's not an objective maxim at all.
But you accept it because
it's impossible to measure how the ramifications of how you behave affecting other people.
Fine, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you accept it as an objective maxim. What I'm saying to you right here and right now is that, first of all, we're not being able to prove that. We can't prove that, and you know that, right? We can't prove that it's an objective maxim. But even if we applied that objective maxim and we put it into practical usage, we realise that you'd have to allow incest to occur. And you said you don't like it for naturalistic reasons. But what I'm saying to you is that those creationists who make the same...
I find it problematic that you think that incest and homosexuality are very...
Can I ask you the question, like, what is the difference? Like, why is it a false comparison?
Because incest is...
Why is it a false comparison?
It's an act that involves like very complicated power dynamics of mothers and children sort of
I told you before that the word power has philosophical connotations which you have to unpack, and people define it differently. So Michael Foucault, Robert Dahl, and Backrax and Barrett.
There's a lot of ambiguity in the sexual attraction. There's a lot of ambiguity in the way we relate to each other. Like, it's...
But can I tell you what I think, yeah? I think the reason why homosexuality is accepted and incest is not as accepted is because in the 1960s and 70s, you had a movement of homosexuals that came out publicly demanding rights, and that was listened to by society, and it became the social norm. Had you had the same movement for people that practice incest...
It didn't happen. It's a hypothetical situation.
But
we're talking about individual freedom. We talk about...
But then again, the person that wants to be in an incestuous relationship should have his individual freedom as well.
Yeah, of course, but... Okay, you can talk about sort of universalizing... Okay.
Are you with me now? Do you see where I'm coming from?
No, I see where you're coming from. But there's a problem, because...
What's the problem?
As I said, like when you asked me, do you have a problem with incest? I said, if someone is of age, if they were 18 years old...
Say 35. They're both... The man is a 35-year-old man, big man like me, and the mum is like, 55. And they want to get into an incestuous relationship together.
I wouldn't say that was morally wrong.
Okay. So now you've retracted.
No, because I didn't know, but I would say it's very strange because...
But that's just your value judgment on it.
Yeah, it's my value judgment.
Because they knew each other, like the mother knew them as a child, and they were a child to them, and they're still a child. And the idea of adults having sex with children, I view as morally wrong.
No, but they're not children anymore. He's 35.
But
Woody Allen. Woody Allen adopted a child. She grew up to when she hit 18. He started getting with her, and then he ended up marrying her.
I genuinely don't think anything's wrong with that.
Okay.
What's wrong with that? What is? She's not even his daughter.
I know,
But I don't think the relationship there is a relationship of equal power or a relationship...
But remember what we said about power.
Okay, I'm going to stop using the word power because that's the only thing you have to cut me down on. Okay, I don't think the relationship there is one that views the two people as like equal people, because the mother has taught the son, or the father has taught the daughter, this is how you should live your life.
But equality is once again, you can't prove that objectively, can you?
I can't prove anything to you objectively because I don't really believe in objective truth, so it's kind of like a non-point. I can't prove you objectively anything.
I get your point. Right, so do you see, what I'm saying to you is the following, that we have to be, whatever paradigm we want to work within, we have to be morally consistent, I'm a Muslim. What I believe in is that basically God, there were prophets that came before time, that God revealed a message that He is singular, He's one, etc., to all these prophets, and that these prophets came with two things. They came with an evidence base, and they came with a message. The message was that He was one, God is one, etc., and that you have to obey God. That's the message. In that message, there's basically God's expectations we have to be. in that message, I'm saying to you that we believe that homosexuality, the act of penetration, sorry to be
What if you're a
graphic.
girl?
What if you're a girl? What about it? It's still
You
like...
can't have penetration if you're having two
You,
girls having
you,
sex.
you can if you use
I
some
mean, you
sort...
can. But if you don't have penetration and there's two girls having sex, is
Alright.
it morally wrong?
It's morally wrong as well, we would say that. Yeah, we would say basically...
But why? If it's the act of penetration, why?
The question of why, the answer of it is a straightforward question. The paradigm is that God knows best, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, so
But if
God
you're
knows
saying-
best, so
but
he's
if you're
telling us
saying-
it's wrong.
But if you're saying the act of gay sex is wrong because of the act of penetration,
No, it's not that.
so why is the act of gay sex?
Why is it wrong?
Yeah.
The answer from our paradigm is because God said so. And God is all-knowing. And that's objective morality. Therefore, everything that comes from an objective moral perspective is what we follow. But even if you wanted to use your own words against, because you did mention naturalistic things, yeah? You said that incest is unnatural, yeah?
I didn't say that.
Well, I think we agreed upon that at some stage, but we could use that very same argument against homosexuals.
I didn't.
But homosexuality exists in so many different species. It existed throughout the whole of time.
Fine. So does murder. I'm not saying that you're a murderer. I know you're not.
I think it's hard to argue that it's unnatural if it exists in like penguins. Penguins don't like make moralistic decisions. They make naturalistic
So
decisions.
because they don't
but
make a
it's
moralistic
still-
decision, remember our maxim
it's
that
not-
they don't get charged for that. Do you know that the penguin, if he decides to enjoy his another penguin, male one, and it was a male penguin, then he doesn't. But look, I tell you what, yeah, I really respect where you guys are coming from because I feel like
No, I
you,
respect where you're coming from.
do you know, like I feel like you've understood my argument.
Yeah.
So now when you meet, can I tell you one thing? Yeah, I do think that there is some kind of extremism in the Muslim world. I believe that. And I'll tell you, I've done some research and you'll be shocked at the research I found. There's both extremism and hypocrisy in the Muslim world.
What? Calm down over there.
No, it's true, yeah? There's extremism
But no,
exists
yeah,
in the following way.
I
Do you know,
don't
we
agree.
as Muslims, the number one thing, in the Quran it says the following. Listen to this, yeah? In chapter number 4, verse 48, it says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ.
Ali wants to talk to you. Have you guys keys? Okay, wait.
No, I don't have it,
give me
sorry.
the keys.
I don't have his keys.
He hasn't got your keys.
So it's a different guy. It says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. God says, sorry, I'm sorry about this. It says that God doesn't allow that you do shirk with him. Shirk is like giving the rights of God to any other than God, yeah? That's what shirk is. So saying that God is someone else worthy of worship or something else, yeah? Than God. But he forgives everything else to whoever he wants, yeah? So from that angle, the worst thing for us, the worst sin, the cardinal sin like in Islam, is shirk. That's number one. Then beyond that is like kufr, which is a kind of like, you know, kufr is disbelief, disbelieving in a message when it's come to you, yeah? Then below that, there are things like murder. Murder is there, yeah? According to Ibn Qayyim, one of our scholars that wrote a book called The Debt with the Wet, when he addresses the issue of homosexuality, he says, then after murder, below that, he says, in his opinion, he believes that the act of a man having sexual intercourse with another man is there. Right below murder, basically, yeah? So you've got shirk, kufr, but the point is, look, think about this. Those Christians that are walking around right now in Speaker's Corner, they're doing the number one sin for us. Yeah, because they believe that Jesus is God, yeah? Hindus that believe that Ganesh is God, he's got 8 arms, this God is God. They're doing a worse sin than the homosexual, yeah? Obviously a murderer is doing that, as a worse sin. So, inshallah, we're gonna, yeah.
Sorry, we kept too long.
I'm just gonna finish it, I'm gonna
Got too into
So basically, what I'm saying to you, yeah, is that doesn't. So when I see a Christian, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna speak to them like I've spoken to you today, yeah. So I think the extremism exists, yeah. But when people actually think that homosexuality is the worst sin, it's not the worst sin. There's sins that are worse than it in Islam, and it also exists in the way that some people, I think they have it's kind of like a fetish attitude towards homosexuals. Well, if you feel like that with homosexuals, you should feel like that with Christians and Jews, or not Jews, but Christians and Hindus. They're doing what we believe is a worse sin, yeah? So I feel like free discussion and conversation, the one that we've had today, is a vitally important thing that we should do. And I think it's a point of agreement.
In your opinion, can like Muslims and homosexuals live side by side?
Indeed. Oh yeah. Look, I mean, that's the thing is, yeah. This is, I think, one of the biggest misconceptions where people actually feel because of the things that's happened, yeah, the like recent incidents and whatnot, that we are out here to kill civilians or something like that, or that we are out here to hurt homosexuals. It's not what we believe in. So we don't believe in the Quran. It says in chapter 2, verse 256, "لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي." It says that there's no compulsion in religion, that the truth is very manifestly clear from the falsehood. So with that, I will conclude. But look, I'll tell you to do one thing, as if you don't mind, yeah. And I'll let you think about it. Can you do me a favor? When you go home, start reading the Quran.
I do want to read it.
Read it, because if you're doing PPE, you will get. I'll tell you what you guys are going to have. You're going to have a good insight in the world. Because I've done a very similar course in uni, yeah.
What did you do? Sorry.
I done politics. Then I done a postgraduate in history, and then things after that. But the point is, there was a lot of like philosophy modules and that one, yeah. What you need, I think, what will make you an all-rounded person is not only to have idea of politics and philosophy, but also to have an understanding of at least the major world religions. Like, where are we coming from? So I know now where you're coming from, so you should know where I'm coming from. I'm not saying that I'm not going to treat you in a bad way. I don't like people that don't eat pork. I don't like eating pork, yeah. But I'm not going to go stand outside the Tesco's, yeah. Oh, this guy's got you know what I'm saying, what do you call it, a beer can. Let's rush him. Let's beat him up. We're not going to do that. It's not practically and reasonably. That's not how we interact. Our method is rationalism. We believe in like intellectualizing it and speaking and genuinely, not sugarcoating it. I'm not going to lie to you, but also I'm not going to treat you with any disrespect, because that's not the way of the prophets. That's not what Lot did when he met the people. He said to the people, you know, basically abandon this act of homosexuality. Abandon it. You'll feel that your life is probably going to get better. I'll be honest with you.
What if it doesn't?
Trust me, I'll tell you what. What if it doesn't? I promise you, it will.
But what if I felt worse being in the closet than out the closet?
Do you know what? It's not all about how you feel from a sexual perspective. Can I tell you that?
But not from a sexual perspective, in a sense of like me as a whole human being. I feel like I'm a more authentic version of myself if I'm honest about my homosexual feelings.
Do you know what? You've got to ask yourself a question now. What is the purpose of life? Because if you answer that question properly, then you can answer what would be the most authentic version of you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You are authentic when you're doing your purpose. There's a basic human function. We've got to ask ourselves, what is that basic human function? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, it's been fantastic. I'm going to run now because I've got to pray and go to these guys. Well, thank you so much for everything, yeah? Brilliant. Fantastic, yeah? Thank you very much. Take care.